Okay, good evening, Hendrick Hudson community. This is Joseph Hochreiter. This is the April 22nd Board of Education meeting. We are doing this digitally and remotely. School board members, as well as other members of the administrative team and the board clerk, have called in to participate in the meeting under the executive orders of the Governor of New York State. Enrique Catalan, myself, and Greg Cavalieri are at the district office where the screen is showing the agenda and the live stream for tonight's board meeting. The time is 6:21 p.m. and I'll turn it over to our board president, Dr. Carol Abraham.
Good evening, everybody. We have been in executive session and we left executive session about 5 minutes ago. Can I have a motion to move into public session, please? Barbara? Yes. Okay. Okay, so Barbara? Yes. Made a motion. And who seconded the motion? Lori. And are we unanimous? Yes. Thank you. Okay, can I have a motion to approve the agenda as stated, please? Barbara, yes.
Second.
Can I? That was Barbara. Okay, so Barbara and Bill seconded. And Bill seconded, and it's unanimous? Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, does anybody have anything to pull from the consent agenda tonight? Okay, so then can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, please? Barbara, yes. Lisa, second. And unanimous? Yes. Yes. Okay, thank you. All right, there were no items removed from the consent agenda this evening, so the next portion of our meeting is the superintendent's report.
Yeah, I want to turn it over to our team to give updates on what we've been up to.
Carol, are you there?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I'm going to turn it over to our team in a minute to give us updates on all the exciting happenings throughout our district, digitally and remotely and virtually. But I do want to just draw everyone's attention to please make sure that they access and visit our website frequently, as well as our Facebook and Twitter feed. We're updating content regularly, as well as exciting news and different initiatives that we're undertaking. One such initiative is Friday Night Lights, where the high school, the new track and field, is lit up every Friday night in the evening to recognize not only the class of 2020, but also recognize the hard work of first responders and healthcare professionals throughout our community, state, and throughout our country. Tom Baker led that effort and is a great way to make sure we remember their hard work and their efforts during this really unique time. Throughout the next few days, we are providing access to schools from teachers in very small numbers and in a very coordinated fashion. Because that we're out for at least a few more weeks until May 15th, it's important that they receive or have the opportunity to retrieve more materials and supplies that they need to continue to provide virtual instruction. And lastly, some sad news, but an opportunity to think outside the box. SUNY Purchase, who has hosted our commencement for our seniors, has informed us, as well as every other outside organization, that they are canceling contracts for any non-university related events and functions. So I know the high school team is working to identify alternatives to recognize the class of 2020 in this unique circumstance, but we're all operating with very limited information. What we do know is that schools are closed until May 15th. We know that the governor has made a series of overtures discussing how difficult it will be to reopen schools, in particular just for the last 5 weeks of the academic year, especially considering that Regents exams and other statewide exams have since been canceled. So while we certainly appreciate the governor's work and his priority is to deal with the issues surrounding COVID-19, the education, the long-term planning of what we're doing and what we can do is sort of in limbo. Many districts, including us, are making many contingent plans and what-if scenarios. The issue is we're spending a lot of time planning without a whole lot of information in front of us. But some of the saddest news that we received was that the class of 2020 will not be at SUNY Purchase, and we're going to have some alternatives and some ideas to float that will maintain social distancing and all of the protocols that the CDC has asked us to comply with. So when a door shuts, a window opens. So this could be an exciting turn of events, but we wanted to make sure everyone at least had that information about commencement. And now I'll turn it over. We'll start with Laura Nyer to give us an update on some of our instructional technology initiatives.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Laura.
Technology has been just a tad bit busy these days. Just a brief kind of update of where we've been. Just a few days before our buildings were closed, we did prep our district office staff and administration with laptops. So just in case we were going to be closed, and it turned out we did, that so they can all remote access into their desktops, computers, and access a lot of the programs that need to be to help them run day by day. Since our building's closed, we've handed out, by the end of this week, it'll be about 800 devices to students and staff. This has been a coordinated effort with building administration and staff and our EduTech staff who have helped support this at the various buildings along with security. So we've been trying to do that, maintaining all of the social distancing, and it's been kind of impressive the procedures that have been put in place to ensure that students and families are getting devices they need. In regarding students and families, we've also been providing support for them for technology support. So our EduTech staff, they're available. We started out with an email address for parents, and then we moved to a Google form to make things a little bit easier. So that's posted on our district website under instructional technology, and then from there you click on help desk, and there you can access forms both in English and Spanish for families and students to put in requests for help. EduTech staff will then contact them directly. They can speak to them on the phone. We have a program we recently accessed where they can remote into people's devices and provide some support. And then EduTech has also offered multiple languages now across the region. So we have probably about 12 languages we can support, and we've already been getting calls. Once I notified everybody yesterday of that they're going to utilize some of the translation services in regard to technology. So trying to really make sure people at home are getting what they need and being a support for them. But our teachers have just been phenomenal. We have amazing tech coaches who have really stepped up. Some people are tech coaches, some people are not, but teachers have really stepped up in sharing resources, creating their own tutorials, and sharing them with each other. At the beginning of our stay-at-home order, I created an internal website for our staff with technology resources, and that's filled with resources from our teachers, from our staff, or things that I've been gathering around the region and kind of culling the information for everybody. So this is internal, whether it's how to record a lesson using Screencast-O-Matic, how to use Google Meet, how to access Smart Learning Suite from home. So it's been very helpful for staff, and it's been great seeing, again, how all of the community of Hendrick Hudson have been internally really supporting each other and sharing the resources. A fun little thing on there, we also share some photos and videos that teachers send in of students working or the teachers working from home, so that's something that we update as well for the staff to see. We have our EduTech staff coming in on a very limited basis. If there's a need, they've come in and, to check in on things, restart a computer, check on the servers. They've been working with Anthony Merlini, making sure that our servers are all in good shape, things like that. And then finally, we've been tweaking our website slightly to make really building-specific sites, so you could put some faces to names. And this is something we've been slowly kind of working on, but we've made some of these changes sooner than later because at a time like this, it's important that there are faces to names. So if you go onto the district website and you want to go to a specific school, you'll be able to see tweets maybe from that principal or from that building and the guidance office, wherever it may be. We're just trying to help everybody through this time and make sure that everything's working and doing things in a safe way.
Hey, Laura, I've just got a couple questions for you. The first one is, you said you're opening up a bunch of remote desktop connections. So how are we managing security around that? Because that essentially creates a lot of potential vulnerability.
So it's on a very limited basis. It's only for people who have, it's really just like someone like me or a few people at the district office that have it. So we use Google Remote Desktop, and then we're slowly moving towards VPN to get a little bit more secure connections. Yeah, because Google, without the VPN, that's just a big security risk. Just something to consider, like maybe talk to EduTech to find out if you can shut it off when it's not being used. Because it opens up a whole network without the VPN. Yep. So we had to instruct people on making, how to use it and what they're using day to day. And again, it's on a very limited basis who has access to it. Yeah. Okay. The other question I have is around, so you mentioned that teachers are leveraging technology. Are you, is there a requirement for teachers to, let's say, have 1 or 2 classes over video a week? Because, I'm hearing from a lot of people in the community, and also from firsthand experience, that teachers are not doing a lot of these video classes. And I was wondering if you capture any metrics around who's doing video classes, who's doing the lectures, how many students are actually logging in to watch those lectures, and do they stay to the entire end? Do we have metrics around how teachers are doing with some of that? Because it really is concerning to me from what I've heard from the community. So that's really going to be a question that maybe Joe can answer, or that he's been in conversation on the building level.
The short answer is yes. So over the last week, our team has met with all of the principals. The principals have been meeting with their department chairs, grade level leaders. Margaret has been in on those conversations at the elementary level. First, to take an inventory of what strategies and what technology is being used, and then to catch people up. Part of the issue was familiarity with the technology tools. Not everyone was as proficient as we would have hoped, and certainly not as proficient as some of our staff who have been using these tools for years. So we're going to have essentially a baseline probably by Friday, by the time we're done meeting with the elementary principals, which I think is slated for tomorrow, and then to essentially ratchet it up. We're calling it our digital plan 2.0. What will the new baseline and the new floor be in terms of expectations? And if they're not live lessons, because there are some issues or some hang-ups with live lessons, that they should be recorded, they could be pushed out, check-ins, personal check-ins with small groups of kids throughout the week, maybe get back into the routine of when everyone was together for a morning meeting or some sort of closure activity on Friday, midday or Friday afternoon, to try to bring a sense of schedule and predictability to kids. The issue is that we studied when we got into this was asynchronous or synchronous. Synchronous essentially in this sense is the definition of replicating a middle school or high school or even elementary bell schedule at a kid's kitchen table. And that really wasn't the intent of the governor's closure. He made that crystal clear that our staff also have to parent, and our staff are also helping their own sons and daughters teach or reteach what they're learning, or they're caring for older extended family members in their home. So we're trying to, we're calculating this week the baseline, and we'll be ratcheting it up. On the end or the question regarding what metrics we have, there are plenty of metrics that we've been collecting in terms of how many kids are actively engaged. Same thing with the teachers, the use of the different software packages that we have, especially Google Classroom. But there will be a shift or a pivot over the next week to 10 days in terms of what the next phase of our digital plan looks like. That will take us at least until May 15th or further.
Thanks, Joe. Do you think it would be fair to ask for some sort of board level engagement metric dashboard so we can see how the kids are being engaged through technology and what kind of results we're having with that? And be up to the rest of the board too, but I think it would be very helpful to see, are kids still learning? Are kids actually being engaged, or are the kids just doing their assignments whenever they are able to and turning them in, and there's no real interaction with the teachers or the class?
I think that's a difficult thing to monitor, Corey, because certain kids do not necessarily have. They may have the computer to do it, or the Chromebook, but they may not have access to the technology to be able to use it, effectively.
I thought the school district took care of that. I thought that was a big issue in the beginning, and we took care of it. But Joe just mentioned that there were metrics that they're capturing and putting together. So all I'm asking is for the stuff.
No, and I think it's a little bit different on the high school level and middle school level. I'm hearing a lot more on the elementary level, but I just think in response to Corey, I think going forward that's something that perhaps we as a district have to look at to make sure that we have a component program in place that involves digital technology, because, everybody was kind of up in the air, and justifiably so. Nobody had, really thought this would go on as long as it has. So, I think going forward, that's something that we as a district not only have to look at how many kids are accessing, the programs, with technology, but do we even have effective programs that we're putting out for kids? So, there's a lot of issues.
Can I jump in here a second? I would have given you the update anyway, but we have been reaching out to, I'll say I've been meeting virtually with teachers all week long, and I have several more meetings to go in order to try to address the next version of our digital learning plan. There's no question that we're never going to replicate an in-person, in-school environment, and we're all painfully aware that there are going to be gaps in understanding no matter how many lessons we offer. We are encouraging teachers to go live or to pre-record so that they can maintain a connection with kids, so the kids see their faces, hear their voices, have an opportunity to engage with their friends. We're also hearing from teachers that they're not getting necessarily perfect attendance, as you might understand. Please at home have other things to attend to. It may be that I have 3 children and all 3 teachers are live at the same time, and I'm trying to figure out how to juggle supporting kids. We have lots of concerns, especially around our youngest learners who cannot access the technology without an adult there. So a big part of our conversation this week was elementary, because those kids are the most vulnerable in terms of needing help, has really been how are we going to structure what we have left to teach we're hitting the most important concepts from now through the end of the school year, and then delivering that in a way that can be managed in a home environment. You know, mommies and daddies and older brothers and sisters were never intended to be teachers. And
Right.
they're struggling, and many of those parents that are home are trying to manage a job from home in addition to managing school now for their children. There's been
Exactly.
very funny stories about, you know, parents recognizing how hard this work is, and how much they have to juggle. So I would have to say, definitely an easier environment at high school and middle school where kids should be getting on and should have that responsibility and should be accessing their teachers' lessons or their assignments. And that work necessarily doesn't happen every single day with the same teacher, because I might be assigning you something that will take you 2 or 3 days to put together. Maybe I'm giving you a writing assignment and you're going to start it on Monday and get back to me on Wednesday. And you'll use office hours with me to go back and forth on questions on the document. So I think, you know, I know Jim, we asked Jim and the APs and John and Anicia to go out with their staff and to gather for us the ways that they're using instructional technology right now, how often are they able to meet with their kids, and they're building that document for us. I'm working on the same thing, K-5, with Josh and Donna and Cindy, and we're actually doing it by grade level because the ability for kids to access changes as they get older. So the document from kindergarten through the upper intermediate grades and elementary. I think, you know, I hear their conversations. It's delightful to see them the way we're meeting tonight and, you know, be able to see each other and talk. But I know they're stressed about trying to juggle their own families and yet trying to juggle the responsibilities they have as a teacher, which they take seriously. And then this environment, which for so many of us, when we sat down on March 18th, some of us had never used Google Classroom. So what we don't want to do is flip the switch to an environment where now a 7-year-old kid has an expectation of being on their Chromebook for 5 hours. You know, we have to be careful how we structure the work we're pushing out so that it can't be that way. It can't be that a kid at high school gets on at 7:30 and just goes through their schedule as though we were still in school. Nobody wants that.
I don't think anyone was asking about that. I think what we're trying to say is there should be maybe a little bit more guidance around engagement to teachers and some metrics around whether are teachers getting Google Analytics reports to say, you know, these students are logging in and turning in their work or logging into the classroom sessions. You know, we want to identify those students that might be struggling and that might not be able to engage because of other issues, and make sure that they're still getting an education. So we don't want people to fall through the cracks because we don't have the right reporting in place.
Right, so I can tell you that every single teacher could tell you within 2 minutes who they're not hearing from. They have used in that instructions to reach out to their building administration at the secondary level to reach out to guidance. For the kids who have sort of ghosted them now, I'm invited into a lot of teachers' classrooms, and I will see kids do their work in batches. So we might not hear from Laura Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday she puts all of her work in at the same time. We have a few kids that we haven't heard from, so thankfully there are not that many. I found out yesterday that a kid we're not hearing from, their family was uprooted during this time because there was no way for the kids to be taken care of. So there's lots of situations in their homes that we have to kind of compensate for and try to understand how we're going to do this. The thing that keeps me up at night is the planning forward. What does this look like when you're not coming back, or you can't come back until September? And then how do we manage an instructional environment where we have a lot of gap filling to do for kids to be successful? They didn't ask to stay home. So we have to figure out a smart way to close the gaps for kids as they move from this grade to the next one.
Margaret, I would also just like to say that I, as a board member, really appreciate when parents have called me or, texted me or whatever and have said how much their kids really love hearing from their teachers. So teachers are taking out time out of their day, besides doing all the lesson preps, to call kids or get on and video chat with kids, and I think that's outstanding.
Yes.
It makes me really happy to hear things like that, because I think, it stops the kid from falling through the cracks. So, teachers are doing that. So, and maybe not every single teacher, I don't want to get that involved in who is and who isn't, because I don't think that's a good way to be either. But the people that I've heard from, parents who've said how much it's meant to the kids, for when their teachers do this, I'm so impressed at the time and effort that's going in. I mean, even Claire Carey, for making all of the videos she does, letting people know that we have food for kids.
Right.
So there's a lot of things going on.
Yeah. So, really, every single person, down to the last teacher that I've spoken to, you're so aware of the social impacts here. While we're stressed about the academics, they are noting that the kids miss them, and they miss their friends. So, that's an advantage of doing a live session, is to have the kids interact. When
oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, we need to remember that as well. But we have a lot of work in front of us, trying to compact curriculum and figure out what next year will look like. Again, like Joe said, Lisa and I have been doing some planning together. It's like plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And once somebody gives us the final set of information, then we can start to put things in motion. Until then, it almost feels like you're in nowheresville, because are we going back soon? Are we not going back? I think, honestly, I don't know how I would do this if I was in the classroom right now and trying to manage this environment. So
there's no way you could. I mean, I've never worked so hard in my life. Lori. True. That's what everybody's saying, Lori. So hard in my life.
Yeah. So a lot of places, if you think about colleges and universities, a lot of places like that do this work all the time. So they have the lessons already done, and they're just uploading stuff for kids. But at our level, this is really still a new process. And so teachers are spending hours writing a lesson plan that would not have taken them half of that if we were going into the classroom tomorrow, trying to figure out how to share tips with kids during the work. It's a juggling act, trying to figure out how to strike a balance between what the teachers need to be able to deliver some quality work, and then also balance their home life and their own set of circumstances at home, and then to get kids to engage, and then realizing that some of those kids need an adult to engage.
Well, thank you to all of them, because all of you are essential workers, and we really, we should be thanking our teachers, our administrators, and our staff off the charts. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you, Lori.
All right, I'm good.
This is a good segue to Lisa giving an update on PPS initiatives, in particular students that have high academic needs, social emotional needs. So Lisa, good segue. Go ahead.
So I'm not really sure where to begin, because there's so much to share. So I'll try to be as brief as possible. Going on what Margaret said as well, Corey, I hear what you're asking, but I will tell you that my elementary special ed teachers are on live daily. They're doing small groups, they're doing large groups, they're in their ICT classroom. My middle school teachers are on daily doing small groups in their ICT classes, and same thing with the high school. So the special ed teachers have really reached out to their families. They've really, with their regular ed teachers, there's a lot happening. And if I could share, I've had so many stories. My teachers have been going and doing parades around kids' homes. Families are saying, "You have made my day. It's so nice to see your child." My high school special ed sailor classes are doing full group meetings where they're on with the OT, the PT, the speech teacher, and the BCBA and the classroom teacher, and they're all doing wonderful things And parents are giving me such amazing feedback. So I'm speaking particularly of special ed teachers. The teachers have really outdone themselves. I have to echo what Margaret said. It's very difficult. If I was in the classroom right now, I think, and Lori, you know this, 24 hours a day, you're working because it's harder to do this. You never want to call in sick because it's harder to make a lesson plan. So now you're doing everything virtually. So I commend all of my special ed teachers. They have gone above and beyond and just keep surprising me every day with a little email or a little quote from a family, a picture from students. Wilson is one of the highest needs kids. One of the highest needs of students is reading, and Wilson reading is one of those high in-depth daily readings that we do. I have a picture of a student and a teacher doing it live. I mean, stuff like this is saying we're doing all these great things. I know when I'm on my PPS meetings across the county, we're ahead of spaces. Joe had shared, people were asking about documentation. We're ahead of that. We were ready for that before school went out. So as far as I think the special ed teachers K to 12, they're outstanding. They've been doing some amazing things, and I will share specifics with Joe if you want them. And I know there's been pictures shared on Facebook and videos of kids doing other things. I also oversee, as you know, the nurses. My nurses have not just sat around. My nurses are prepping for next year. They're actually meeting with families. They are working on the CTE applications because we're still planning as if we're opening in September. They're working on immunizations and physicals. They're there for parents if they have questions. So our nurses are available and have been reaching out to families. The school social workers and psychologists have been doing their online live sessions. And it's great when I get an email that every one of my students on my caseload has been in session. So I'm not saying that happens every day, but I'm saying that we are reaching kids live in the special ed department, PPS. Our psychologists are doing counseling. Our elementary counselor, who services all three buildings, has done mindfulness for staff. She has staff that have joined her mindfulness team. She's reaching out to families. Our elementary social worker has found so many resources for families that are uprooted, families that the whole family is sick and there's no one in the community to go and get medication. So we haven't taken, we've taken this above and beyond the school piece of it, but we are there for the kids. Our related service teams are doing, as I said, the whole team is meeting. There's live sessions. There is videos. I have an OT that sent out, go do it, go make me a sensory walk. The parent taped it, sent it to us, it was on our Facebook page. So kids are getting out, they're being very mindful, they're being very physical, and doing a lot of things. Our school counselors, oh my goodness. Elementary, I kind of shared middle school, they're doing check-ins, they're doing vocational assessments for the level 1 that all the kids need. They're doing a lot of to-do lists to keep kids focused on how to manage while they're out of school. They're meeting with their grade level teams. They're setting up small groups for our teaching assistants to do some pre-teaching, post-teaching, and some tutoring. Our high school, and our heart goes out to the seniors and our heart goes out to the juniors whose families are really worried about what's going to happen with these kids going to college. So they're creating senior college videos. They're working on, they've created classrooms for themselves. They're reaching out to students that are not accessing the education. They're referring stuff to our school resource officers to do wellness checks on kids we haven't heard from. Making sure kids have the technology they need. Working with our DHT groups, working with our ELL kids. And they're really working and calming the nerves of some parents that are juniors as to what's going to happen with my child and what is going to happen because we're in a pass-fail. And they really help the families. Colleges are sending them things. Admission officers are telling the counselors, we're really looking at the whole child. So there's a lot happening in the PCS office. On top of that, I will tell you that my office staff and my assistant directors and myself, we have been nonstop since we walked out the door on Monday of whatever the date was. I don't even remember the date, the 16th. We have been running CSE meetings. We are on target to end by the end of May, beginning of June. And everything has been done virtually. And it's quite a learning experience to try to watch everybody on video because you want to make sure everybody's heard, but to also take notes. So it's an interesting process. But our secretaries are working from home diligently, making sure that all of our meetings are prepped. And I just give kudos to the entire CCS department because they have worked so hard.
Lisa, that was awesome. I mean, really, you set a fantastic example, not just for our district, but I think for other districts all around in Westchester. So, really, I think that's the kind of stuff that I'm looking to hear. And, it'd be great to hear how we're doing that in the high school and the middle school with the understanding that, the elementary schools maybe not so much, a little more challenging. But, that's fantastic work that I know everybody's doing fantastic work. I just think that as a board, when we hear more of that, it gives us more comfort that it's being done. And that's what I was kind of looking for. So,
I just want to share this story with everybody. Yesterday, I was on a phone call with the middle school, and one of the counselors was being goofy, and I could hear him on another call. I said, "At least use your line, don't disrespect me that way." And we're all kind of laughing. And he comes back on the line and he goes, "I need you to know this. We have a family at home. There's no family in the area, and everybody has the COVID, and there's no Tylenol in the home." So I said, "Let me see what I can do." So I call my trusted fellow teaching assistant, Barbara LaFemina, and I say, "Barbara LaFemina, I need you to find me this." And she goes, "I'll go." I said, "No, you're not going to go. I need a place that I can call, and they will deliver to the home. I'll pay over the phone. We'll take care of it. We're not worried about that piece. We need it delivered to the home so nobody gets infected." Within 5 minutes, my phone rings, and we have Tylenol on the way to this family. So it's a team effort. I mean, the social worker called the middle school guidance counselor. The middle school guidance counselor happens to be on the phone with me. So it does take a community, and it does take all of us communicating. And I will tell you, I said this to Joe, it is harder working from home because there are no boundaries than it is working in the office. Because you see your computer, and ooh, there might be a message, and ooh, there might be this. Or I may call Margaret at 8 o'clock at night and say, "Oh my gosh, I just had this revelation." Or Laura and Margaret and I are in text messaging war at 8 o'clock. I mean, it's just because we're always thinking. So I think, we have an amazing community, we have an amazing staff, and I think we're doing wonderful things. Yes, you're going to have a couple pockets of things not happening maybe, but we can work on that. Yes, we're in week 35 million. I don't know what we're in anymore. But, we can definitely start getting better and do 2.0 as Joe said.
And I think, as Lisa said, that the collaboration and the willingness of so many to jump in and help has been just really quite amazing to see. And, like I can say from the technology side, just staff helping each other, working together, collaborating. There are people who are, I would say, high experts with technology in the classroom, and there are people who are novice beginners and are trying to learn. And across grade levels, across departments, people are trying to help each other and teach and support each other, and that's what's been really impressive to see. And I'm really excited to see the level of technology that our entire staff is going to have at the end of this, because so many are kind of being forced into it. But again, it's being done, I think, in such a collaborative, nurturing way that makes me very proud to be part of this district and watching how everybody is being so supportive.
I'm going to jump in and share one last thing before we go, because I'm so impressed by this. I have to give her a shout out. At the elementary level, Blair Haviland delivers our gifted and talented work, both through Horizons and by meeting every single kid, K-5 in the district for some time during the school year. When we broke in March, she immediately went on her website and she uploaded all these crazy great projects that kids could do. But as you might imagine, with all of the stress of this situation, those are the last things that kids are reaching for. She's been monitoring her site, and she reached out to Cindy to say, "Look, it's not getting a lot of play. Let me do something else." So she came to Cindy and I with a proposal that she take on teaching the science projects for the elementary division, all 6 grade levels. We met on the phone today, and we laid out a process for her to take it forward, and she's taking it upon herself to deliver the lessons and take feedback in collaboration with the teachers. So she's going to do all the planning for science going forward. And I think that is incredible.
Excellent, Margaret.
Yeah.
Right.
That is incredible.
really is amazing. She could just as easily have said, I posted my lessons and, a few kids are answering. Nobody, was putting pressure on her to give us numbers. So I really think, honestly, that for her to offer to do this, which is a huge undertaking for her, she has to familiarize herself with 6 different grade curriculums, and she's really doing it on her own, planning the lesson, uploading it, and then just having the teachers work with her on getting feedback to kids. I think her colleagues are going to be mighty impressed and very thankful.
I definitely do.
One last thing I want to share is the collaboration between Margaret, myself, and Laura, as well as Joe, but the 3 of us saying, okay, here's plan A, that didn't work, where are we going next? So we're trying to get 10 steps ahead, but every time we do, something will fall out, but we always have plan B and C. So, as a team, I think we have grown, not only personally, professionally, but we have grown to the point where we're anticipating where our fallout by. We always run ideas by. And I thank you guys.
It's just absolutely excellent. And I've got to tell you, Lisa, as long as I have you on the phone, thank you to your special ed teachers and the co-teaching teachers, because they've gone above and beyond coordinating all the children's services and having everybody reach out to these kids. It means more than parents can even say, and those are the kind of phone calls you love as a board member receiving. So, thank you.
Thank you. It's good to be acknowledged.
Can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. I got booted off the call, and I wasn't sure I got back in successfully to the point where I could speak with you, because I'm on the computer and on the phone now.
So thank you.
Those were fantastic updates, and I just wanted to mention before we move along anywhere or lose anybody off the call, today is Administrative Professionals Day, so it's a perfect time to thank our administrative professionals for all of the amazing and difficult work that they're doing right now. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead. Just jump in there, Enrique.
Okay, less exciting but still important for the district is the operational part. We're doing very well. First of all, we started construction on our warehouse, so if you pass by central office, you are going to see that they already chopped trees, they are getting everything ready. So construction started this week, so we're very excited. Number 2 is that payroll has been happening as usual. No one should see any difference. Your paychecks are equally accurate as they used to be. Most of our vendors have been paid. Today I'm here to sign checks. The only people that probably, Barbara, you'll hear from are some of the retirees.
I've heard. I haven't said anything, Enrique, but I've heard.
Yeah, we haven't been able to pay the reimbursements for the Medicare because that's a very manual intensive part that we have to go back and forth. I've gotten a couple of emails, but you need to have 2 or 3 people in the same room because of the type of work it is.
Enrique, could maybe a letter be sent out or an email with an explanation? Because people are a little bit upset about the delay in payment.
And actually we did. Barbara, I don't know if when you got your envelope to sign, there was a note saying
everybody did that already.
No, but there was a note saying to please, that it will take some time and to give us until the end of the month.
I know, but you know how people get, Enrique. People are already calling, and I tell them it's not a board issue.
It's
we're not dealing with that.
I agree, but unfortunately, that's one of the things that there's a lot of manual work, that there's very little that we can do. So I don't want to expose anyone just because, you know, people are calling and saying, where is my money?
I agree with you, Enrique, and I had said that to people, that I thought that the delay might be tied into the amount of people that you had working in the office. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
So
maybe something could be put on the website, just or something just to explain.
I'll talk to Debbie and Vicky and see and see when we can expect that to have it ready, and then hopefully it's before the end of the month, like we said. And if that's the case, I'll put it on the website. But definitely
you know
that's.
What, Enrique, I can talk to some people and at least get the word out that it's coming. All right?
Oh yeah, thank you. In that sense, it's coming. It's
Okay.
just a lot more work than
You'll start to
anticipated.
get inundated, and I've been inundated, so I'll just put the word out that it's coming along. That's
Good.
fine.
And
Thank you, Enrique.
that's all. I mean, we try to keep, everyone is working, and we try to keep the operational part of the district going. So that's it. Nothing else.
Well, I told people, besides having a limited staff, you were working on the budget and everything else that had to be changed with, you know, all the updating from the governor's office and everything else. So hopefully people understand, but I'll reconnect with some of the retirees.
Thank you.
Okay?
Yeah, we'll reconnect too. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, and that wraps up the world's longest superintendent report. But very important information.
For a comprehensive report, though.
Yes.
Thank you very much for that very comprehensive report. And thank you again to the administrative professionals. I don't want to leave out our food services professionals. Claire Terry has been doing an amazing job out there every day with her crew, giving out meals to anybody who needs them. So please, if you need lunch, they're out there every day. And that brings us to our committee reports. We did have finance committee this week, and just to kind of talk about what's going on with the state finances and how that might affect our budget, but nothing that we need to discuss this evening.
But we have the presentation.
I know Lisa had an update as well.
I did. We participated in a virtual facilities committee meeting, and State Education Department has approved our school capital improvement projects as essential work. And as Enrique just said, you know, we were looking at beginning construction, and I guess it's actually begun now, which is great news. And, you know, there was some discussion about, you know, difficulties contractors might have with obtaining supplies and timelines and things, but if schools are closed until the end of the year, we may be able to begin construction sooner, which would be really great. And then with the Westchester Putnam School Board Association, there's been more of the town hall phone calls that I've been participating in. The last one, there was about 20 different school districts in our region that were on a call, and discussion focused on district budgets, payment of hourly staff and stipends, grading and graduation plans, and morale, and helping our staff to realize how much we appreciate them. And so those discussions have just been very, very valuable for me, to be able to share ideas with you know, other members of school boards across the Westchester and Putnam and Rockland area. And we're all in uncharted waters, and so being able to share that information has been very valuable. The other thing that we've been discussing, and Mr. Hawkrider, I know, sent out a letter just yesterday with regard to this, was a request to have our send e-letters out from the public and our community to request that they advocate on our behalf to procure the funds that our state so desperately needs to protect education in the coming year. And so if I could just encourage people to please, you know, follow those links and send in your voter voice email letter. It's very easy to do. It takes just like less than 2 minutes. And it hopefully will make a big difference in letting our representatives know how much we really do need these funds.
Thank you very much, Thank you very much, Lisa, and thank you so much for participating in those meetings. I was able to do a few of them earlier in the month, but unfortunately they are now at a time when I need to be at work. So it's fantastic that you as Vice President can join those meetings and represent us, because we do get a lot of really valuable information from those meetings. Our next section, nobody else gets committee reports, I assume, right? Maybe I shouldn't move ahead just yet. Okay, so our next section is our BOE administrative budget and board election. And the first part of that is our, Roseanne, help me out here.
Yes, we have 3 people running for 3 open board seats. Mary Kay Milton, Jennifer Rosen, and Richard Kress. So we would need a vote, a poll from the board to approve those 3 board members running for the board seat.
Okay, so I need to make a motion ahead of time, or we just vote for them?
We could just vote for them collectively. We also have the administrative budget of $9,637,111. So we can do one poll vote for the board members and for the administrative budget.
All right, that sounds perfect. So can we have a vote, please? Can we have a motion to approve the candidates and the budget, please?
Yes, I'll make a motion.
Okay,
Barbara.
Second. By Bill.
Okay. And is everyone else in agreement? Can I have your vote?
This is
Yes.
Cory, yes.
No.
Yes.
Lisa, yes. Carol, yes.
Yes, Lord. Okay. Lisa Anderson.
Yes.
Okay. And who did I miss? Carol Abraham.
Yes.
And who else is there? Did I get everyone?
I think so. All right, so that brings us to our budget update. Mr. Callahan, please.
Yes, thank you. Thank you again. Budget update. Basically, after the state reduction, as you all know, the state reduced foundation aid across the state. Our portion of the reduction was around $160,000. Also, in our budget, we originally projected an increase in sales tax from $888,000 to $1.2 million because of the increase in Westchester sales tax, and now because of the incoming very potential recession that we're going to get over the year, we reduce that by 35% or $450,000. Remember, we need to be very careful, because if we don't have revenues, we cannot go out and sell more or do anything more. That's it. So I'm being very conservative, but I would assume that everyone will agree that there's going to be a lot less taxes in sales, because we're planning to buy a lot less going forward for the next year. Other income, usually, so you understand how we manage our cash flow, we have in average during the year $15 million in excess cash. And for example, this year we invested in February, before the COVID, $20 million that we had in excess cash on a 3-month treasury bill at 1.45%. 2 weeks ago, we had extra money that we wanted to place in treasury bills. I would have had to pay the treasury for them to accept my money. So that's how the situation is in the capital market. So I'm assuming that we are going to get in the short and medium term about 0% interest, and that will reduce the district interest income by $150,000. So in total, I'm expecting a reduction of around $700,000 in revenues. That's the bad news. The good news is that this year, originally, I was discussing with the finance committee that we were going to have about $1.8 to $2 million in fund balance. If we don't open again during this year, I'm assuming close to $2.8 to $3 million, because all the savings that we're getting because we're not opening. Again, a school district is mainly fixed cost. Salaries that we're still paying, that we keep paying, but there's other variable costs that if we're not using it, we'll get it back in fund balance. Just to give you an example, there was a call with NYSER, our insurance company. NYSER is going to reduce our car insurance, our bus insurances by about $18,000, because obviously, since we're not driving, there's been no accidents for any of the school districts. So between that, oil, for example, we just paid diesel. We paid 60 cents per gallon in diesel. We haven't done that since probably the 1980s. So we'll reduce our expenses if we don't come back in about an additional $1 million to $1.5 million. So
wow.
Joe and I discussed that with finance committee and decided not to reduce any expenses, because we will increase our fund balance, given that we'll have more fund balance than expected this year. And hopefully we don't have any reductions in revenue for this year. What the government said is that every 3 months, and that was April, and that will be April 30th, he's going to be looking at the revenue shortfall or revenues from the state, and based on that, he will reduce the state aid for schools or not. So we might get some reductions during the year, but hopefully, the reductions will not be large enough that we cannot cover it with fund balance without having to cut any expenses. Any questions?
No.
Anyone else? No? Thank you.
Thank you, Enrique. Okay, so we do have an audience comment section, and statements should have been made ahead of time. There was nobody who submitted any statements for us to read this evening. So that brings us to any board comments or new business. Does anybody have anything else they wanted to discuss before we end the meeting?
I'll weigh in. It's not new business, but it's almost official that as of close of business Friday, Roseanne Squillante will be retired. And this was,
my goodness.
Yes, this was not the going away party we envisioned.
Who retired?
Roseanne's last day is Friday. She's giggling.
Roseanne, congratulations.
Oh, wonderful.
I'm very sorry to see you go.
So she has agreed to stick around. I won't say hang on, but to stick around when we need her. As I said earlier, we're not sure what the budget vote or any of that will look like. Everything's on pause, but she's agreed to stay around and to help out. She has been has such tremendous institutional knowledge and contacts in the region and the state, and has been just such a staple of this entire organization for decades. So when all of this passes and we can come together in some sort of sensible fashion, we're going to celebrate her the way she deserves. But I wanted to make sure that everyone on the call and everyone watching live and everyone who's going to watch, hopefully in the future, that a very important person and wonderful person to this organization will be setting sail into retirement, and she's going to celebrate a new grandbaby in a couple weeks. So I know you'll be busy, Roseanne, but I also know that we live less than a mile away from each other, so you'll be seeing me.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, can I get a motion to end the meeting, please?
Lori.
Second?
Corey, I'll second.
Are we unanimous?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.